Today, MEPs from across the political spectrum met with thalidomide survivors who are still seeking justice over 50 years on. Why are you bringing your campaign to the European Parliament?
We bring our campaign to European Parliament because the thalidomide affair is just not UK. It involves many other countries in Europe like Spain, Italy and Sweden and other smaller countries, and a lot of them have not got justice. And therefore, after 60 years fighting, the time has now come for the thalidomiders in the last quarter of their lives to live with justice and dignity.
It seems astonishing to me that this has not been resolved. We're talking about 50 years on from the discovery that there is a direct link between thalidomide and birth defects. Has there been sufficient recognition of the disabilities that have been caused by this drug?
There are two reasons. Initially, the thalidomiders couldn't get justice in the individual countries because the German government basically covered up the evidence. So when they went to court in Sweden or Italy or the UK or with the Spanish 40 years too late, so out of time, they weren't able to get justice. The other thing is, when you want to campaign for justice, unfortunately, it takes a lot of money and at the same time a lot of energy. And that is something the thalidomiders haven't got. And that's why it's taking so long.
Why is it urgent that action is taken now?
Various reports, medical reports both in Germany, UK and other countries have shown that thalidomiders live in bodies 25 to 30 years older than their age. Their bodies are falling apart. They're desperate for help now because they've used their limbs in ways in which they weren't designed for. So their lives have become intolerable.
What next?
We are calling upon the SPD, German MEPs in the European Parliament, which is part of the S&D group, to arrange a meeting with the Ministry of Family where an announcement will be made that the European thalidomiders can join the German Special Health Fund. And if they don't do that, if the SPD Ministry of Family refuses, then we're going to ask the SPD on behalf of the thalidomiders and all the other MEPs to show solidarity with the thalidomiders and actually suspend their political operations.
You're here today at the meeting of thalidomide victims. As a German MEP, is this a subject that causes you a great deal of concern?
Yes, of course. We as MEPs here in the European Parliament, we strongly supported the decision and the declaration by the European Parliament in last December, supporting the victims in all member states of the EU and saying it must be, we need a solution, we need a framework to support, to give support all victims. We are standing on this side. And of course, we know we as German MEPs have a special responsibility to address the German Bundesregierung and also the Ministry of Family to say you have to accept that not only inside Germany, but in other member states are victims and they need also support. Please enlighten the access to the Kontergan Foundation in Germany.
We see that Martin Schulz has left the European Parliament. He was the president, of course, but he's going back to a very powerful position within the SPD party, and they were very closely linked to this back in the 60s. Do you think that he could have an important role in resolving this?
Yes, if we remind him that he was a president when the European Parliament decided about the resolution, and this resolution got a broad support by the majority of the political groups, and that's why I think if all the political parties and the actors in Germany are saying Martin Schulz will now bring European experience in Germany, also in the electoral campaign for SPD, now he has to prove it. He has to show, yes, I'm a European, and that's why I'm fighting also for the interests of the Spanish, of the British, and all the other victims of thalidomide, of Kontergan in Germany. And we have to change our rules. We have to take in account that there are a lot of people who never got any help, any support, and that's why we have to do it. It's our duty for us as German Europeans.